Chapter 2188. Mullins had first met Lu Ming in Firestorm City. At that time, Lu Ming had just stepped onto the path of cultivation. In the early stages of Lu Ming's cultivation, Mullins had given him a lot of help. However, as time passed, Lu Ming's cultivation continued to improve. The gap between the two grew larger, and their relationship seemed to be drifting apart. Senior Mu Tian, Senior Yin Lan, don't worry. I will definitely find Senior Mullins. Lu Ming said firmly. Lu Ming, what are you trying to do? Do you also want to enter that passage? Don't act rashly. We don't know where that passage leads to and what dangers there are. If you rashly enter, I'm afraid you will put yourself in danger. Yin Lan advised. Senior, don't worry. I'm confident. Lu Ming said. In fact, he had long wanted to explore that passage. However, when he had just returned to the Divine Wilderness, he wanted to spend more time with Lu Yuntian and Li Ping because he didn't know where that passage led to. What if he took a long time to return? Moreover, during this period of time, he had used the Origin Stone to let the Heavenly Emperor's body absorb. The energy stored in the Heavenly Emperor's body had already exceeded 10%. Now that he could control the Heavenly Emperor's body, he was much more confident. Especially now that he heard that Mullins had entered that passage 6 years ago, Lu Ming was even more determined to explore it. The few of them chatted for a while, more before Lu Ming bade farewell. Before he left, Lu Ming left behind a storage ring. Lu Ming stored a lot of cultivation resources. Lu Ming didn't enter that passage immediately. Before he left, he had to make some arrangements. First, he went to the Divine Ruins continent and returned to the Tsang state through the teleportation array. He told the Cloud Dragon Valley Master about the Divine Wilderness continent and allowed some talented geniuses of the Dragon God Valley to cultivate in the Divine Wilderness. At the same time, both sides could take care of each other. After that, Lu Ming returned to Dragon Emperor City and told Xiaowan about what happened in Dragon God Valley in Sangzhou Province. Then, he left his remaining puppets, 1 Martial Emperor Realm puppet and 18 Quasi-Emperor Realm puppets, in the Dragon Emperor City to guard it. After that, he bid farewell to his parents on Autumn Moon, saying that he would be away for a while. After making all the necessary arrangements, Lu Ming once again went to Nine Dragons City. Now, there was only one dragon vein left here. Half a year ago, another dragon vein rushed into the passageway and disappeared. No one knew when the last dragon vein would charge in. Senior Sister Mullins, don't let anything happen to you. Lu Ming muttered, then took a step forward and rushed into the tunnel. The passageway was filled with white mist, greatly obstructing one's vision. Even Lu Ming could only see a few dozen kilometers ahead. This passageway was very large, at least a few thousand miles wide. Lu Ming figured out the direction and flew toward the passageway. The surroundings were silent. Lu Ming flew for 3 full days, but he still had not reached the end of the passageway. Suddenly, after Lu Ming flew for a distance, his vision suddenly widened. The origin chi here was no longer in the form of mist, but in the form of liquid. Strands of liquid origin chi drifted about like ribbons. Without the origin chi mist obstructing his vision, Lu Ming could see the surroundings clearly. Looking at the surroundings, Lu Ming was shocked. The passageway was no longer surrounded by stone-like walls, but pitch black. Moreover, spatial energy storms were constantly surging. However, there seemed to be a layer of barrier on the walls of the passageway, blocking the spatial energy outside the passageway. This was a void passageway. Lu Ming was shocked. This place was definitely not in the Divine Wilderness continent, but in the chaotic void. Where did it lead to? Lu Ming observed with rapt attention before continuing forward. He seemed to be traversing the void. In the void passageway, although he had only walked a mile, in reality, he had already traveled an unknown distance. Just like that, Lu Ming traveled for another 7 days. Boom, boom. Suddenly, a series of explosions came from ahead, as if someone was fighting. He was almost at the end. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he increased his speed. Boom, boom. As Lu Ming moved forward, the explosions in front of him became more and more intense, terrifying and astonishing. Waves of terrifying auras surged from ahead, making Lu Ming tremble with fear. He did not know how far away they were, but Lu Ming already had such a feeling. What kind of cultivation level were the people fighting? Lu Ming's eyes were somewhat solemn, but since he was already here, there was no reason to turn back. No matter what, he had to go forward and see what was ahead. Lu Ming continued to move forward. There were continuous booming sounds ahead. Roar, roar. Suddenly, a dragon's roar came from behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. Wasn't that the direction of the divine wilderness continent? Roar, roar. The roars of dragons echoed in the air. Soon, a massive true dragon flew over. It's indeed the dragon vein. Lu Ming's eyes moved. Behind him was the last dragon vein of Nine Dragon City. On top of the dragon vein's head was a huge divine nine-dragon cauldron. It was flying over at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming hurriedly moved aside. Otherwise, he would be hit by the dragon vein. The dragon vein whizzed past. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and leaped onto the dragon vein. The dragon vein was originally a huge dragon-shaped mountain range. It was extremely huge and spanned tens of millions of miles. But now, it had shrunk by many times. Lu Ming landed on the dragon vein and followed it forward. Not long after, he saw light in front of him. He had reached the exit, but here, an even more shocking explosion came, shaking heaven and earth. The dragon vein let out a long roar as it charged out of the cave. The moment he rushed out of the cave, Lu Ming jumped down from the dragon vein. He found that outside the cave was a pitch-black land. Lu Ming landed on the ground and looked ahead. His pupils dilated rapidly. In the void in front of him, there were 8 huge true dragons. He didn't know how big they were as they traversed between heaven and earth. On top of each of the 8 true dragons, there was a huge cauldron that emitted a bright light. At this moment, the 9th dragon vein rushed over and also turned into a huge true dragon. Buzz! The divine 9-dragon cauldron vibrated, and the 9 cauldrons emitted a bright light, resonating with each other. In front of the 9 true dragons, there were 2 huge demonic shadows. Their bodies were as tall as the heavens, standing between the heavens and the earth, all the way above the clouds. The aura that these 2 demonic shadows exuded was earth-shattering. Although Lu Ming did not know how far away they were, Lu Ming still felt a great sense of horror. He felt that it was hard to resist and that he could not resist them. Lu Ming didn't feel this feeling even from Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin. This is the evil god race. Lu Ming stared. Although they were very far away, judging from their appearance, those 2 demonic shadows belonged to the evil god race. Such a terrifying evil god race. Could this be the heaven realm? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Boom, boom. The 9 huge true dragons gathered. The divine 9-dragon cauldron shone and fought with the 2 demonic shadows. The scene was world-shaking. Chapter 2189. Roar. A heaven-shaking dragon roar was heard. This heaven-shaking dragon roar actually came from the depths of the firmament. Lu Ming looked up and his eyes widened involuntarily. High in the sky, there was a true dragon. It was unknown how big it was, but its body circled and covered the sky. The true dragon's aura was even more astonishing and unpredictable. The true dragon, on the other hand, had encountered a powerful foe. It was fighting with a gigantic demonic shadow. You can't guard this passage. In the near future, our army will enter the primordial realm en masse. A rumbling voice came from the demonic shadow in the sky. Don't even think about it. The true dragon roared and fought with the demonic shadow. That aura was too terrifying. Even though he was far away, Lu Ming still felt immense pressure, as if he was about to kneel down. Lu Ming unleashed all his strength and gritted his teeth to withstand it. Boom, boom. The battle became more and more intense. You want to stop me with just a drop of blood? Kill. The demonic shadow in the sky roared and attacked wildly, forcing the true dragon to retreat. In the distance, the 9 dragons' dragon vein carried the divine 9-dragon cauldron and fought with the 2 demonic shadows. It was also very intense. A bunch of losers want to stop us? Kill them all. A voice came from afar. Afterward, Lu Ming saw another demonic figure. It stood tall and upright as it walked over. Its vast and terrifying aura caused the entire world to tremble. As soon as this figure arrived, It attacked the true dragon in the sky. Facing the two demonic shadows, the true dragon was no match and retreated. In the direction it retreated in was Lu Ming's direction. Lu Ming's expression was ugly. He turned and ran, wanting to rush into the void passage and escape back to the divine wilderness continent. He did not expect to encounter a great battle the moment he arrived. Every living being that attacked just now was terrifying to the extreme. Their combat strength was unbelievably powerful, even stronger than Heavenly Emperor Kong In that he had seen. They were definitely peerless powerhouses. He did not run. As long as a wisp of energy hit him, he would die. Little guy, don't run there. This passage can't be left. I'll send you away. At this moment, an old voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Then, a beam of energy shrouded Lu Ming's body. Then, Lu Ming's body was thrown out. Lu Ming was speechless. He wanted to return to the divine wilderness. Why was he thrown out? Then, Lu Ming saw a shocking scene. The huge true dragon suddenly turned its head and slammed its claws into the tunnel. The tunnel violently trembled, then collapsed and caved in. Then, the 9 divine 9 dragon cauldrons smashed into the passage. Rumble. The passage was constantly collapsing, and the space was exploding. Don't even think about destroying the passage. Those demonic shadows roared and suddenly attacked. Heaven and earth trembled, and endless crazy winds blew. The terrifying destructive force swept in all directions, and Lu Ming was instantly engulfed in it. Pooh! Lu Ming's body shook violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The energy that enveloped his body was radiating. 2 small true dragons were swimming around and blocking the energy outside. Otherwise, Lu Ming would have been turned into ashes in an instant. Lu Ming had a feeling that even if he used his Heavenly Emperor body, it would be useless and he would not be able to block it. Even so, there was a trace of vibrating energy that passed through the energy shield and acted on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body almost exploded. Crack. Lu Ming's bones made cracking sounds. Some of his bones were broken, and some of his muscles were torn apart. Lu Ming was seriously injured, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Boom. Roar. At the passage, there were continuous rumbles and dragon roars. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The space was torn apart like paper and exploded into pieces. Lu Ming was swept away by the void energy storm. His body was involuntarily pulled away from this place. Slowly, the intense rumbling could no longer be heard. Lu Ming did not know how far he was swept away. Then, he fell heavily to the ground. The energy on his body had also disappeared. Lu Ming spat out another mouthful of blood and looked around. This was a desolate land. There were potholes everywhere. There was no vegetation at all. It was dead silent, and there were no living creatures. Other than the sound of the wind, there was no sound. Senior Sister Mulin's. Lu Ming was worried. The moment he arrived, he encountered such a thing. A few supreme existences were fighting. If not for that energy enveloping him, he would have been turned into ashes. He wondered what the situation was like when Mulin's came here. Then, Lu Ming thought of those supreme existences. It was obvious that those huge demonic shadows belonged to the evil god race. The evil god race must have discovered the void passage and wanted to snatch it. However, they were stopped by the 9 dragon veins and the huge true dragon. In the end, seeing that they could not stop them, the true dragon and the 9 dragon veins destroyed the passage, not allowing them to pass. It seems that the divine wilderness continent is connected to this place because of that passage. The origin chi here is poured into the divine wilderness, causing the origin chi of the divine wilderness continent to be extremely rich. Lu Ming pondered because he realized that the origin chi here was extremely rich. It was even richer than the ancient Moon Holy Land. Moreover, the space was filled with powerful killing intent. It was similar to the killing intent he felt in 9 Dragon City. It seems that the good days of the divine wilderness continent are coming to an end. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. The passage exploded and the 2 places could not be connected. Without the origin chi here flowing into the divine wilderness, the origin chi of the divine wilderness would soon dry up and return to its original state. However, it was 1,000 times, 10,000 times better than the evil god race invading the primordial realm through the passage. Once the evil god race invaded through this passage, the divine wilderness would be the first to bear the brunt. Existences like those from before were too terrifying. They could probably destroy the divine wilderness continent with a single slap. No one would be able to escape. Now, the cultivation conditions would at most worsen. Moreover, the Dragon Alliance had a large amount of resources and origin stones left by Lu Ming. It was enough for them to cultivate for a long time. Moreover, Song State's Dragon God Valley would send people to the divine wilderness. When the cultivation conditions of the divine wilderness continent worsened, some people from the Dragon Alliance could also go to Song State to cultivate. Compared to before, it was much better. Where is this? Is it not in the Grand Pure Sky domain? Lu Ming thought of another problem. Lu Ming had heard Uncle Kong, Emperor Wu Xiang, and the others mention it before. Now, only the Grand Pure Sky domain was left in the 9 Heavens domain of the Heaven Realm. The other 8 Heavens domains were occupied by the outsiders. The Heaven Realm guarded the passage to the Grand Pure Sky domain and fought with the outsiders for countless years. The outsiders did not invade the Grand Pure Sky domain. This was because only the Grand Pure Sky domain was connected to the primordial realm. However, if this was the Grand Pure Sky domain, how did the outsiders get in? They would definitely be blocked by the Heaven Realm's experts, right? Chapter 2190. This is troublesome. Lu Ming sighed. If this was not the Taiching heavenly domain but another heavenly domain, it would be troublesome. The other heavenly domains were completely occupied by the evil god tribe. How could he break out, head to the Taiching heavenly domain, or return to the primordial realm? Lu Ming furrowed his brows deeply. Forget it. Let's heal first. Lu Ming shook his head, sat down cross-legged, and began to heal his injuries. His body's recovery ability was amazing. In less than half a day, his injuries were healed, and his cultivation was restored to its peak. Let's observe the surroundings first. Lu Ming intended to observe for a while to see where this place was. Lu Ming randomly chose a direction and flew forward. Looking around, all he could see was desolation. Ravines and pits covered the entire ground. There were no living creatures, nor were there any plants. There was only the howling wind. Could this be an ancient battlefield? Looking at the ravines and pits on the ground, it looked like they were left behind by a great battle. I wonder if that passage has been destroyed? Lu Ming could not help but think of that passage. Now, he hoped that the passage had been destroyed. If it was not, it would be over if the alien race rushed in. However, before Lu Ming was swept away, he saw that the entire passage had exploded and collapsed. It should have been destroyed. Kill. Suddenly, a roar sounded, and a shocking murderous intent spread between heaven and earth. Lu Ming was shocked, and his hair stood on end. The sacred power in his body involuntarily circulated, and his body turned into a beam of light, retreating rapidly. However, no one chased after him. Kill. That voice sounded from high up in the sky. Lu Ming could not help but look in that direction. In the sky, light spread, and a figure appeared in the sky. This figure was clad in iron armor, holding a long spear, exuding a shocking murderous intent as he roared. This is not a physical body. Lu Ming was a little stunned. He realized that this figure was not a physical body, nor was it formed by any energy. It was just a shadow. Kill, kill, kill. That figure shouted several times in succession. Terrifying killing intent rushed into the heavens. Then, the light distorted and that figure disappeared like a phantom. What is this? Lu Ming was flabbergasted. This figure was filled with terrifying killing intent. It gave people the feeling that it was a terrifying expert. However, it didn't have any hostility towards Lu Ming. It also acted as if it didn't see Lu Ming. After roaring a few times, it disappeared. Could it be that the experts who died in battle back then left behind an indestructible mark? Lu Ming guessed. Lu Ming observed for a while and did not find anything unusual, so he continued to move forward. Whoosh, whoosh. This time, not long after Lu Ming moved forward, 2 streaks of light flew towards him. 2 humans. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up. The two streaks of light were actually two humans and not from the evil god tribe. This made Lu Ming overjoyed. The fact that the humans could come here meant that Lu Ming's previous speculation was wrong. This was not the Eight Heavens domain that was occupied by the evil god tribe. The two of them obviously saw Lu Ming and flew towards Lu Ming. When they got close, the streaks of light disappeared, revealing two figures. One of them was a young man in a blue robe. He was tall and straight and exuded a powerful aura. The other was a middle-aged man in battle armor. The aura he exuded was also extremely powerful. A 3-star illusionary emperor and a 4-star illusionary emperor. Lu Ming's eyes moved slightly. That young man was a 3-star illusionary emperor. He was so young and had reached this level. He was definitely a genius. As for the middle-aged man, he was a 4-star illusionary emperor. The two of them carefully sized up Lu Ming. The young man was surprised. "Brother, how should I address you? I have never seen you in the military camp before." The blue-robed young man cupped his fists. Military camp? Lu Ming's mind spun rapidly. He then cupped his fists and said, "I am Lu Ming. I am not from the military camp. I was adventuring in a secret place and accidentally got swept into a spatial storm. I was swept here." Lu Ming lied. "Oh?" The young man and middle-aged man exchanged a look. It was unknown whether they believed him or not. "May I ask where this place is?" Lu Ming asked. "You really don't know?" The blue-robed young man asked. "I really don't know." Lu Ming nodded. "It seems that Brother Lu really doesn't know. Then I will tell Brother Lu. This is a battlefield between the Taiching Heaven Domain and the Hunyuan Heaven Domain." The blue-robed young man said, "A battlefield between the Taiching Heaven Domain and the Hunyuan Heaven Domain?" Lu Ming's heart shook. A puzzled look flashed across his eyes. "Brother Lu, don't tell me you don't know about the battlefield between the two heavens?" The puzzled look in the blue-robed young man's eyes grew even stronger. "To be honest, I have been training on an island overseas and adventuring. Although I have heard about the battlefield with the foreign races, I am not very clear about it. Please enlighten me." Lu Ming cupped his fists together politely. "So you are from overseas? No wonder. Then I will tell you." The blue-robed young man immediately began to explain. As everyone knows, the heavens are divided into 9 heavens. The 9 heavens are like 9 worlds that are connected by a passage. However, the passage between the heavens isn't a spatial passage, but the earth. The earth connects the heavens like an astonishingly long and wide road. This is the passage between the Hunyuan Heaven Domain and the Taiching Heaven Domain. Due to the invasion of the foreign races, the passage between the two heavens has become a battlefield. The blue-robed young man explained. Now that the Hunyuan Heavenly Domain had been occupied by the foreign races, this was the battlefield between the Taiching Heavenly Domain and the Hunyuan Heavenly Domain. If the foreign races wanted to invade the Taiching Heavenly Domain, they would have to attack from here. It was no wonder that he could see both the foreign races and humans here. Lu Ming breathed a long sigh of relief, his heart relaxing a little. Coming to the battlefield between two heavens was better than going to the other heavens that had already been occupied by the foreign races. The hell we're in right now is even more special. It's an ancient battlefield. Countless years ago, a terrifying battle took place here. Legend has it that the people who participated in that battle were the most terrifying experts in the world. After that battle, this ancient battlefield fell into eternal silence, and outsiders were unable to enter. The blue-robed young man continued, "Outsiders can't enter? Then we." Lu Ming was puzzled. The reason why we couldn't enter before was because of the terrible war between the heavens and the foreign races. No one knows how many peerless experts died in the war. This place is filled with endless killing intent, and many peerless experts have left behind immortal marks after their deaths. Those imprints can sense the people who come in here. Once they sense a powerful existence, those imprints will attack and kill that powerful existence. However, a huge change occurred in this battlefield not long ago, and things took a turn for the better. As long as one's cultivation isn't too high, one can enter. Brother Lu, you are in luck. This is the battlefield of ancient peerless experts. Although countless years have passed, there may still be peerless treasures left behind. Many people have come to explore this place. Chapter 2191. He finally understood the gist of the situation after listening to the youth's explanation. They were currently in the middle of the battlefield between the two heavens. It was an ancient battlefield. In the past, there had been many battles between peerless experts. This place was filled with terrifying killing intent, and there were also inextinguishable marks left behind by peerless experts that would take the initiative to kill anyone who entered. So in the past, it was impossible to enter this hell. However, something strange happened not long ago and this place was now accessible. Lu Ming could not help but think of the figure that he had seen previously who was wearing iron armor and holding a long spear. Was he the one who had died in the battle and left behind an inextinguishable mark? His cultivation was too weak, so the imprint didn't attack him. Compared to the peerless experts of the world, his cultivation was indeed too weak. Could the changes in this area be related to the previous battle? Lu Ming thought about it and felt that there was a high possibility. However, there are still imprints left behind by the masters. Those below the true Emperor realm will be fine since the imprints won't attack them. However, it's hard to say what will happen to those above the true Emperor realm. The higher the cultivation, the more dangerous it will be. That's why this is our chance. A fiery light flashed in the youth's eyes. Then, the blue-robed young man looked at Lu Ming and a strange smile appeared at the corners of his lips. Brother Lu, since you came here by accident, why don't we travel together? If we encounter any opportunities, we can share equally. All right. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before nodding. He had many questions to ask since he was new to Heaven World. It was best to team up. The three of them moved forward together. However, the three of them did not dare to go too fast. That was because no one had ever entered the ancient battlefield since ancient times. No one knew what kind of dangers there would be. Not long after, the three of them encountered another indestructible imprint. This time, it wasn't a human, but rather an enormous bird. Its aura was crazy, and its killing intent rushed into the heavens. The bird glanced at them coldly but didn't attack. After a while, it disappeared. The three heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they weren't strong enough. Otherwise, they would have been attacked by these imprints. These imprints were extremely powerful when they were alive. Legend had it that this battlefield was one of the battlefields between Heaven World and the foreign races. Those who were able to participate were all unimaginably strong. Therefore, the imprints left behind by these masters were extremely terrifying. Great emperors who entered this place were killed by the imprints. Even heavenly emperors died after entering this place. From this, one could see how terrifying these imprints were when they were alive. Along the way, Lu Ming made indirect inquiries and found out a lot of information. The youth in blue was called Blue Cloud. The middle-aged man was called Lan Songshi. They were training outside the battlefield and fighting against the foreign races in Grand Pure Heavens Camp. This time, many people knew about the changes that had occurred in the ancient battlefield. Apart from them, many people from the Celestial Realm's military camp had also rushed over. After all, the people who participated in the battle back then were too powerful. Even though countless years had passed and many things might have decayed, if there were any treasures left behind that hadn't decayed, as long as one could obtain one, it would be a great opportunity. It was not surprising that many people came to explore. I'm afraid the outsiders will also send people here. The three of them continued forward, searching the area. However, there was only a deathly stillness everywhere. It was completely empty. There was nothing. 2 hours later, suddenly, their eyes lit up. There was a pile of messy stones in front of them. There was a skeleton sitting on the ground in the middle of the stones. He was holding a broken sword in his hand. When a martial artist reached the Saint Realm, their physical body would be extremely difficult to corrode. In the martial Emperor realm, their physical body was known to be immortal. However, everything was relative. It could be immortal for 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. But what about 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, or even longer? Everything would eventually corrode in the passage of time. The skeleton in front of them was very likely to be a peerless master when he was alive. They glanced at the master's finger. Unfortunately, they didn't see a storage ring. Storage rings would also corrode over the years and disintegrate. The things inside could be swept into the turbulence of the void. Obviously, the master's storage ring had been corroded. Then, their eyes fell on the broken sword in the skeleton's hand. The broken sword was covered in rust. However, after such a long period of time, even the flesh of this peerless expert had corroded. Even his interspatial ring was corroded. However, the broken sword was still preserved. It was definitely an amazing treasure. In particular, Blue Cloud and Lan Songsher's eyes shone with a fiery light. "Brother Lu, why don't you go and get the broken sword?" Blue Cloud asked and looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. "I go?" Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but it disappeared in a flash. Blue Cloud asked him to go and get the broken sword. He definitely didn't want to give the broken sword to Lu Ming out of kindness. Instead, he wanted Lu Ming to test it out. After such a peerless master died, no one knew what dangers he would face even though countless years had passed. What if he left behind a trace of qi or some other means? Going to take the broken sword would be courting death. "Hurry up and go and get the broken sword," Lan Songsher also said in a cold voice. Lu Ming sneered. He finally understood why Blue Cloud was so kind to answer his question and invite him to go with him. His purpose was to use him as a testing stone. If there was any danger, he would ask him to go first. "Brother Lu, hurry up," Blue Cloud urged. At the same time, he moved and formed a triangle with Lan Songsher, blocking Lu Ming's path of retreat. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. "Okay, I'll go and get it." Lu Ming spoke and smiled faintly. He stepped forward and walked toward the skeleton. Lu Ming obviously didn't dare to be careless. He was highly focused and constantly scanned the skeleton and the broken sword with his spiritual consciousness. However, he didn't find anything unusual or dangerous. However, Lu Ming still didn't dare to be careless. He held the sword of the Celestial Emperor in his hand. Now that the energy stored in the Celestial Emperor's body was more than 10%, the sword of the Celestial Emperor could erupt with great power. If anything went wrong, he could use the sword of the Celestial Emperor to block it. He slowly approached the skeleton, but still didn't find any danger. Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness was mainly focused on the broken sword. The broken sword was immortal. The most likely danger was on the broken sword. However, when he sensed it at close range, the broken sword seemed to have lost its spirituality. It was no different from a piece of scrap metal. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed at the void. A palm condensed from Saint Power grabbed at the broken sword. Saint Power? He hasn't become an emperor yet? Chapter 2192. Previously, they thought that Lu Ming was at least a martial emperor expert. Now that they saw that Lu Ming was using saint energy and not the power of the heavens, they immediately looked at him with disdain. At that moment, Lu Ming's hand, which was formed by saint energy, had already grabbed the broken sword. There was nothing wrong with it. The saint energy retracted and Lu Ming held the broken sword in his hand. It was cold to the touch, and there was nothing special about it. Lu Ming kept the Heavenly Emperor's sword. Unless it was a last resort, Lu Ming would not use the Heavenly Emperor's sword. After all, once the energy of the Heavenly Emperor's body was depleted, it was too troublesome to replenish it. The amount of resources needed was also shocking. After such a long time, the spirituality in the broken sword has already dissipated, and it has become a piece of scrap metal. Lu Ming scanned the broken sword with his spiritual consciousness and found that it was useless. Seeing that Lu Ming had successfully obtained the broken sword, Blue Cloud and Lan Songsher smiled. "Brother Lu, quickly hand the broken sword to me," Blue Cloud said impatiently. "Brother Lan, I was the one who obtained this broken sword." Lu Ming turned around and looked at Blue Cloud. "Brother Lu, hand it to me first. When we get more treasures in the future, we'll split it equally," Blue Cloud said impatiently. If not for the fact that he still needed to use Lu Ming, he would have turned hostile. Lan Songsher was even more direct and said, "It's a waste for a peerless expert to leave such a treasure in the hands of a saint like you. Hand it to us first, and we'll compensate you later." Lu Ming sneered in his heart. On the surface, he deliberately pondered and said, "All right then." Then, he tossed the broken sword to Blue Cloud. Blue Cloud was overjoyed and quickly took a look at it. He was disappointed after taking a look. It has no spirituality. It's like a piece of scrap metal. Blue Cloud shook his head but still kept the broken sword. Both of you, I still have something to do. Let's part ways here. Right then, Lu Ming said, You want to leave? Blue Cloud's face darkened. That's right. I still have matters to attend to in my hometown. I have to find the exit and return first. I won't accompany you two in your treasure hunt. Lu Ming casually found an excuse. Lu Ming, I've explained so many things to you. How can it be so easy for you to leave just like that? Come with us. Blue Cloud said coldly. Kid, come with us to search for treasures. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving this place. Lan Songshur appeared behind Lu Ming, emitting a cold killing intent. They wanted to forcefully drag Lu Ming along as their pathfinder. Lu Ming sneered. The other party had indeed explained some problems for him, but he had already taken a risk for them and obtained the broken sword. Furthermore, the reason why the other party explained the problem to him was that he didn't have good intentions from the start. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. All right, since that's the case, I'll accompany you. However, we must split the treasures equally. Of course, Blue Cloud said. However, he sneered in his heart. Lu Ming was really naive to think that they could split the treasures equally. Even if Lu Ming didn't die during the pathfinding process, they wouldn't leave Lu Ming behind. Boom. At that moment, something strange happened. Lu Ming erupted. He instantly raised his battle strength to the peak and threw a palm strike at Lan Songshur. This move was too sudden. Lan Songshur was very strong. He was a 4-star illusionary emperor. Facing danger, he roared and several types of laws spread out from his body. However, he was still a step too late. Previously, they thought that Lu Ming was just a person below the martial emperor realm. They could kill anyone below the martial emperor realm with a flip of their hand. Thus, they were not so cautious. At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly attacked. Lan Songshur could only control his laws in time to block in front of him. Boom! Lu Ming's palm landed on Lan Songshur's body. The nomological laws that covered Lan Songshur's body vibrated violently. In the end, they were penetrated by Lu Ming's palm. The terrifying palm force surged into Lan Songshur's body, creating a huge hole that penetrated his body. Lan Songshur let out a cry of agony and backed away rapidly. His eyes were filled with astonishment. At that instant, he had sensed 7 types of laws from Lu Ming's body, 2 types of supreme laws and 5 types of emperor laws. Lan Songshur was almost scared to death. This guy's strength is very strong. Lu Ming frowned too. Lu Ming's 5 types of laws had reached the perfection stage. However, the laws of alchemy and the laws of weapon arts had yet to reach the perfection stage. His body had yet to be refined, but his strength was significantly stronger than during the Battle of 10 Earths. With his current strength, he could easily kill a 5-star illusionary monarch with his full strength. However, Lu Ming had failed to kill Lan Songshur with a sneak attack. He had only severely injured him. Lan Songshur was only a 4-star illusionary monarch. He had sensed 3 types of laws from Lan Songshur's body, 1 type of emperor law and 2 types of ordinary laws. Moreover, the 2 types of ordinary laws had both reached the 2nd realm. Lan Songshur's strength was much stronger than ordinary 4-star illusionary monarchs. At this moment, Blue Cloud also reacted. Bastard, how dare you attack? You're courting death. Blue Cloud roared and unleashed his strength, charging towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's figure flashed and charged towards Lan Songshur. He would deal with one first before dealing with the other. The other party wanted to use him as a testing stone. How could that be possible? Boom! Lu Ming's palms slashed out continuously. In an instant, he had slashed out dozens of palms. Each palm contained 7 types of laws. Its power was extremely shocking. Lan Songshur was severely injured by Lu Ming. He spat out blood continuously. His strength was not even 20% of his peak state. How could he resist? After a few moves, his protective laws were shattered. The surging palm force landed on his body. Lan Songshur did not even let out a scream before his body exploded. Boom! After killing Lan Songshi, Lu Ming's figure did not stop. Taking advantage of the momentum, he turned around and blasted a palm behind him. Because behind him, Blue Cloud's attack had also arrived. Lu Ming's palm slammed onto Blue Cloud's fist, erupting with a violent boom. Lu Ming felt a powerful force surge towards him. His figure retreated repeatedly. Blue Cloud was not much better. His figure also drifted backward. His strongest law has already reached the second realm. There's still another type of Emperor law. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Blue Cloud was undoubtedly a top-notch prodigy. He was not weaker than some of the prodigies who came to Destiny Mountain with Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin back then. A 3-star illusionary monarch controlled one type of strongest law, one type of Emperor law. His strength was not weaker than that gray-robed youth who had fought with Lu Ming back then. At this moment, Blue Cloud was even more shocked. He also sensed the laws that Lu Ming controlled. He was extremely shocked. It's you. I remember now. You're that trash from the Yuan realm. A peerless trash. Blue Cloud suddenly roared. He was also a top-notch prodigy in the Heaven Domain. Back then, some people went to the Yuan realm. After returning, they said that a peerless trash had appeared in the Yuan realm. Below the martial Emperor realm, he had mastered many types of laws. He had even mastered 2 types of strongest laws. However, he could not become an emperor. Back then, it had caused a stir in the Heaven Domain. Now that he had fought with Lu Ming, he immediately remembered. You're just a trash. How dare you kill someone from the Lan family? You're courting death. Chapter 2193. Blue Cloud's entire body was filled with ice-cold killing intent. At the same time, he emitted a scarlet light. Even his palms were the same. Boom, boom. Blue Cloud blasted out more than a dozen punches at Lu Ming. As he swung his fists, there was a violent lion roar. Lu Ming saw that on each of Blue Cloud's fists, there was a fiery red lion roaring. As Blue Cloud swung his fists, the fiery red lion also pounced. This was a terrifying divine ability that unleashed the power of the 2 laws that Blue Cloud controlled. Lu Ming waved his palm, erupting with 7 types of laws, and instantly struck out more than a dozen palms. Boom, boom. Fists and palms collided constantly, erupting with shocking rumbles as energy swept out. However, countless years ago, this place had experienced a great battle between peerless powerhouses. The ground had become extremely hard. The energy from the battle between Lu Ming and Blue Cloud could only leave a shallow mark on the ground. The 2 attacked at an astonishing speed. The sky was filled with fist and palm shadows. In an instant, they had exchanged more than 100 moves, and lion roars were incessant. Damn it, this guy is even stronger than the legends say. Didn't the legends say that he only grasped 5 types of laws? Blue Cloud roared in his heart. After exchanging more than 100 moves, he could not defeat Lu Ming, which made him a little impatient. Lu Ming's expression was calm. This Blue Cloud was indeed not weaker than the gray-robed youth back then. However, Lu Ming was also much stronger than during the Tin Lands battle. During the Tin Lands battle, facing the gray-robed youth, Lu Ming had to borrow the power of his 3rd bloodline to be able to resist. But now, he did not need the power of his 3rd bloodline to resist. The 2 continued to exchange hundreds of moves, but it was still difficult to determine a victor. Tear him apart for me. Blue Cloud roared. The fiery red light on his body became even stronger. He waved his hands, and the fiery red lions in his hands merged into one, transforming into a huge red lion that pounced at Lu Ming. The power of this move was much stronger than before. This was Blue Cloud's ultimate move. It was his trump card, and its power was astonishing. Hammer of Chaos. Lu Ming used his self-created divine ability, the Hammer of Primal Chaos. During this period of time, Lu Ming had not stopped exploring the Hammer of Chaos and the Sword of Death. The power of these 2 mystiques was getting stronger and stronger. In particular, Lu Ming had fused the Alchemy Dao Law and the Tools Dao Law into it. The Law of Primal Chaos and the other 5 laws of the King Dao fused together in a miraculous manner, exploding out at the same time. A huge hammer was formed and smashed towards Blue Cloud. Boom, The hammer of primordial chaos collided with the gigantic red lion, causing the space to explode continuously. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The two of them were locked in a stalemate in the air as they continued to fight. In the end, the red lion and the hammer of primal chaos exploded at the same time. The two of them trembled and retreated. How is this possible? Blue Cloud roared in his heart. With his strength, he was actually unable to take down Lu Ming. This made him extremely shocked and furious. Kill! He roared. An even more intense red light spread out from his body. His glabella shone and a huge seal was about to appear. As soon as this huge seal appeared, a shocking lion roar was heard, causing the void to explode continuously. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He could feel that this was a terrifying emperor weapon. It was at least a true emperor weapon. Lu Ming did not hesitate at all. His third bloodline appeared. He borrowed the power of his third bloodline to increase his strength greatly. Boom! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed towards Blue Cloud like lightning. The hammer of primal chaos smashed out. Blue Cloud did not expect Lu Ming's strength to suddenly increase. In a hurry, he hurriedly blocked, but how could he block it? After being hit by the hammer of primal chaos, Blue Cloud screamed and flew out, vomiting a large mouthful of blood. Kill! Lu Ming was very decisive. After injuring Blue Cloud with one move, he immediately rushed over to kill Blue Cloud. Lu Ming, I'll kill you sooner or later. Blue Cloud roared and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, a fiery red jade token appeared in his hand and he crushed it. Roar! After the jade tablet was crushed, a huge fiery red lion appeared. This lion even had a pair of wings. It grabbed Lan Yun and with a flap of its wings, its body soared into the sky and flew into the distance at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming chased after it, but after a while, he realized that he could not catch up at all. The other party flew further and further away and finally disappeared from his sight. What a pity! Lu Ming sighed. Blue Cloud was definitely a disciple of a major force in the heaven realm. He had many treasures on him. That jade token was used to save his life. Lu Ming went back and put away Lan Songshi's storage ring. Then, his figure flashed and he left this place. After that, Lu Ming carefully traveled through this area alone. He encountered two imprints a few times. Among them, there were imprints of foreign races and experts from the heaven realm. Other than that, he found nothing. The key was that in this battlefield, Lu Ming could not tell the direction. He did not know which side was the exit and how to get out. He could only walk around randomly. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes moved. A sound came from ahead. In this land, there was no other sound other than the sound of the wind. But now, there were other noises. This meant that there was a situation ahead. Immediately, Lu Ming used the divine breathing technique to restrain his aura to the extreme. Then, he landed on the ground and walked along the ground. After 100 miles, Lu Ming hid on a low mountain peak. Using the rocks as cover, Lu Ming looked ahead. In front of him, there was a flat land. There were burly figures. Evil God Tribe. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. There were a total of more than 10 Evil God Tribe members. However, these Evil God Tribe members were different from the Evil God Tribe members that Lu Ming had seen before. These Evil God Tribe members were also covered in scales. However, in the past, the scales on the Evil God Tribe members that Lu Ming had encountered were all black. However, the scales on these Evil God Tribe members were purple. Moreover, they were slightly smaller than the Evil God Tribe members that Lu Ming had encountered before. However, they were indeed members of the Evil God Tribe. Each of them had a third eye between their brows. More than 10 purple-scaled Evil God Tribe members surrounded an area. Their figures flashed continuously as if they were setting up something. That is, Lu Ming looked around again and discovered that the one surrounded by more than 10 Evil God Tribe members was a skeleton. This skeleton held a big bow in its hand. Obviously, the Evil God Tribe members were here for this big bow. However, they did not dare to get too close. These guys seemed to be setting up some kind of formation. Lu Ming observed carefully and discovered that the Evil God Tribe members should be setting up a formation. After a while, The evil god tribe members stopped and retreated in a flash. "Activate the formation," one of the evil god tribe members shouted. Then, purple light spread out from the bodies of the evil god tribe members and sank into the ground. The ground shone, and streams of jet-black light shone out. Then, these jet-black lights condensed into large words. Chapter 2194. The formation set up by the evil god tribe condensed many large, black, ancient words. The moment these words appeared, they flew toward the large bow. They shone brightly and suppressed it. However, at this moment, the large bow emitted a beam of light. It was like a light shield that enveloped the bow. Those large words were blocked by the light shield. More than 10 members of the evil god tribe exuded an even more intense purple glow that surged into the ground. The prowess of the great formation grew stronger, emitting black light continuously. Many large black characters appeared continuously, rushing toward the great bow. However, even though the light barrier around the big bow was trembling nonstop, it was still not broken. This large bow still has its spirituality. It is definitely a supreme divine bow. Lu Ming thought to himself. A fiery look flashed in his eyes. After a while, it was still ineffective. It did not break the light shield around the large bow. Our formation is set up too far away from the large bow. We can't fully unleash the power of the formation. We have to get closer and set up the formation near the large bow. Only then can we eliminate the killing intent on this large bow. An evil god tribe member said. That's right. This is a treasure left behind from ancient times. After so many years, its spirituality has not completely disappeared. It is definitely a treasure. We can't miss it. Let's do it. Another evil god tribe member also spoke. Then, the 10-odd evil god tribe members carefully approached the large bow. When they were within 1,000 meters of the large bow, they started to set up the formation again. Buzz. Just then, the large bow let out a buzz and emitted a bright light. Then, a beam of light shot out from the large bow like an arrow. Poochie, an evil god tribe member, did not have the slightest ability to resist. The arrow pierced through his head and he died. Increase the speed. An evil god tribe member shouted. The purple light on the bodies of the 10-odd evil god tribe members became increasingly intense. They increased their speed to set up the formation. Beams of light entered the ground. Swoosh. At this moment, the large bow vibrated again. Another arrow shot out and killed another evil god tribe member. The remaining evil god tribe members were terrified. However, at this point, they could not retreat. They could only grit their teeth and continue. They increased their speed to set up the formation. Swoosh. Swoosh. In the process of setting up the formation, the great bows vibrated incessantly. Arrows shot out one after another, killing the members of the evil god tribe one after another. What terrifying power! This killing intent hasn't dissipated yet. Lu Ming's expression was somewhat solemn. He could tell that there was a trace of the bow's owner's killing intent in it. Any living creature that approached the bow would be mercilessly shot to death. This was also the reason why Blue Cloud and the others had asked Lu Ming to lead the way. If the broken sword from before still had spirituality, it would be extremely dangerous. As for these evil god tribe members, it was clear that they wanted to set up a great formation to erase the killing intent on the great bow. In just a short moment, 8 members of the evil god tribe died to the bow. And now, there were still 9 members of the evil god tribe left. Success. Retreat. A member of the evil god race roared. Whoosh. Whoosh. The remaining 9 people retreated frantically. But at this moment, the great bow vibrated and another arrow shot out, shooting towards one of the evil god tribe members. No, that member of the evil god tribe roared in despair, filled with unwillingness. They had already succeeded and retreated. But at the last moment, the arrow shot out at him. Pooh! Without any suspense, this member of the evil god tribe was killed, leaving only 8 members of the evil god tribe. The remaining 8 people retreated at an astonishing speed. When they retreated to a certain distance, the great bow stopped emitting light and quieted down. The 8 members of the evil god tribe revealed expressions of lingering fear. If they had been unlucky, they would have already died. Let's begin. The 8 of them exchanged glances and then started to activate the Great Formation. This time, the inner and outer layers of the Great Formation were activated together, forming many ancient and profound characters that flew toward the Great Bow. Lu Ming reckoned that this Great Formation should be one that all members of the Evil God tribe had. The ancient characters flew toward the Great Bow. The Great Bow shone, and a layer of light enveloped it. But this time, the prowess of the ancient characters was clearly much stronger than before. The large characters shone like weapons, pressing down on the light barrier. Boom, boom. The light barrier trembled incessantly, creating layers of ripples as if it would shatter at any moment. A few minutes later, the light barrier indeed could not withstand it. Like a bubble, it burst with a pu sound. Those large characters rushed toward the Great Bow, covering it. Buzz. At this moment, the Great Bow vibrated, emitting terrifying killing intent that permeated the surroundings. Those large characters covering the Great Bow crumbled one by one. However, more large characters would soon cover it. Every time the large characters crumbled, the killing intent on the Great Bow would dim a little and weaken a little. This was using the power of the Great Formation to grind away the killing intent on the Great Bow. As time passed, the killing intent on the Great Bow became weaker and weaker. Half an hour later, the killing intent on the Great Bow had completely disappeared. We succeeded, haha. One of the members of the Evil God tribe laughed loudly. The other members of the Evil God tribe also revealed looks of joy. They stepped forward and approached the Great Bow. The Great Bow did not react at all. In the end, they approached the Great Bow. One of the members of the Evil God tribe stepped forward and grabbed the Great Bow. Buzz. That member of the Evil God tribe held the Great Bow in his hand and tried to pull the bowstring. However, after pulling for a long time, the Great Bow did not react at all. Haha, as expected of a supreme treasure. With our cultivation, we can't pull it open at all. That member of the Evil God tribe laughed loudly, becoming even more excited. If they brought such a precious treasure back and handed it over, they would definitely receive generous rewards. Let me see. Another member of the Evil God tribe was very curious. He took the Great Bow and tried to pull it open, but it did not work either. In the distance, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. 3 4-star Void Emperors and 5 3-star Void Emperors. Lu Ming muttered. Earlier, these members of the Evil God tribe were controlling the Great Formation. Lu Ming already knew the strength of these members of the Evil God tribe. Originally, there were 2 5-star Void Emperors among these members of the Evil God tribe. However, they were too unlucky and were killed by the Great Bow. The strongest remaining was only a 4-star Void Emperor. Lu Ming decided to make a move and kill these members of the Evil God tribe to snatch the Great Bow. Whoosh! Lu Ming soared into the sky and approached the area where the Evil God tribe was. Lu Ming executed the divine aura art and did not release any aura at all. The other party did not sense anything at all. They just stood there and looked at the Great Bow. Now is the time. With a thought, Lu Ming swooped down like a bolt of lightning, killing his way down. As he swooped down, Lu Ming condensed a battle sword in his hand. This was a magic skill, the Sword of Death. Not good, there's someone. The members of the Evil God tribe also discovered Lu Ming. They all roared, and purple light spread out from their bodies. Kill. Chapter 2195. Lu Ming slashed at a 4-star Void Emperor from the Evil God tribe. At the critical moment, the third eye of the Evil God tribe member lit up. A purple beam of light shot out and pierced towards Lu Ming. At the same time, his body shone with purple light. A giant axe appeared in his hand, and he slashed upwards. Boom! Lu Ming slashed downwards. The Sword of Death hit the purple beam of light from the third eye of the Evil God tribe member. The Sword of Death vibrated. The death laws and the 5 types of laws vibrated continuously, forming a terrifying cutting force. It directly slashed the beam of light and continued to slash downwards. Then, the Sword of Death collided with the giant axe. With a violent boom, the Sword of Death vibrated. However, the giant axe vibrated even more violently. In the end, it directly exploded, turning into fragments that flew everywhere. Many fragments bombarded the body of the evil god tribe member. Bam! The body of the evil god tribe member flew out. Wounds appeared on his body and blood flowed out. However, he did not die. What powerful strength! Lu Ming's gaze sharpened. This evil god tribe member was only a 4-star Void Emperor. With Lu Ming's current battle strength, he could instantly kill an ordinary 4-star Void Emperor when he used the Sword of Death. Even a 4-star Void Emperor would be severely injured in one move. However, just now, Lu Ming did not kill the evil god tribe member in a surprise attack. He only severely injured the evil god tribe member. The battle strength of this evil god tribe member was beyond Lu Ming's imagination. He is not weaker than Lan Songshi from before. A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. Lan Songshi was also a 4-star Void Emperor. However, his battle strength was far stronger than the 4-star Void Emperors that Lu Ming had encountered before. This is the battlefield of the two worlds. These people are all from the military camps of the two worlds. They have been fighting on the battlefield all year round. Their battle strength is stronger than those of the same level. Lu Ming pondered and came to this conclusion. Of course, Lu Ming only had these thoughts for an instant. He did not stop at all and continued to attack the injured evil god tribe member. However, at this moment, the other members of the evil god tribe had already reacted. Beams of terrifying purple light pierced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming could only stop blocking and brandish the Sword of Death to block these purple beams of light. He discovered that the power of these purple light beams was also very shocking. The battle prowess of each member of the evil god tribe was stronger than the black-scaled evil god tribe that Lu Ming had encountered in the past. These were definitely the elites of the evil god race. Kill! Lu Ming broke through several purple light beams and charged towards a 3-star Void Emperor. Even if he could not instantly kill a 4-star Void Emperor, he should be able to instantly kill a 3-star Void Emperor. Stop him! Among the 8 members of the evil god tribe, there were a total of 3 4-star Void Emperors. Previously, one of them had been severely injured by Lu Ming, so there were still 2 more. Right now, these 2 people from the evil god tribe acted as the main force and launched a barrage of attacks at Lu Ming. As for the other 3-star Foe Emperor evil god tribe members, they attacked Lu Ming from the periphery. Lu Ming did not dare to be careless and focused his attention to block. Although he could instantly kill a 3-star Void Emperor, it did not mean that he could ignore the attacks of a 3-star Void Emperor. Moreover, the attack power of these 3-star Void Emperors was very terrifying. If Lu Ming was hit, he would also be injured. Human race ant, how dare you sneak attack me? Kill! That member of the evil god tribe that was attacked by Lu Ming also charged back. Lu Ming was surrounded by the 8 members of the evil god tribe. For a moment, he could only protect himself and could not kill the enemy at all. I underestimated the enemy. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. Back in the primordial realm, he could instantly kill a 4-star Void Emperor. In addition, his strength had increased recently. Therefore, he did not take the 4-star Void Emperors seriously before, unless they were top prodigies like Blue Cloud. Therefore, he attacked and directly charged out. Now, he understood that he had underestimated others. This was the 2-realm battlefield. Those who could participate in the battle here were all elites and did not lack experts. Looks like I can only borrow the power of the 3rd bloodline. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Immediately, a wave of power from the 3rd bloodline surged into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming did not dare to borrow too much power. The 3rd bloodline was too strange. If he borrowed too much, his mind would be affected. But even so, Lu Ming's power increased greatly. Kill! The 3rd bloodline contained a strong killing intent. Lu Ming shouted loudly, and a cold killing intent erupted. All the members of the evil god tribe could not help but shiver. How could Lu Ming miss such a good opportunity? He took a step forward, and the Sword of Death slashed toward the member of the evil god tribe that he had severely injured previously. Poof! This time, this member of the evil god tribe could no longer resist and was directly slashed into 2 by Lu Ming's sword. Immediately after, Lu Ming's battle sword swept out and killed a 3-star Void Emperor realm member of the evil god tribe. Kill! After killing 2 people in a row, Lu Ming charged toward a 4-star Void Emperor. That 4-star Void Emperor roared and used his trump card to block, but after the battle sword slashed past, all of his attacks collapsed. His entire person flew out and fell heavily to the ground, unable to move. Although he did not die, he did not have the strength to fight anymore. As the number of the other party decreased, Lu Ming's strength increased. With this, Lu Ming became even more invincible. Poof, poof. Another 2 sword slashes, and another 2 3-star Void Emperors were killed. In a few breaths, only 3 of the 8 of them were left. The remaining 3 were finally afraid and turned to run. How could Lu Ming let them escape? His figure flashed, and he chased after them. With 1 sword slash, he killed the remaining 2 3-star Void Emperors. Only the last 4-star Void Emperor was left, and he had already fled some distance away. Lu Ming chased over at extreme speed. After 10 miles, Lu Ming caught up with the other party. "Let's die together." Seeing that he could not escape, the evil god tribe member roared. His third eye burst out with a resplendent light like a small purple sun. Swoosh! A purple light beam with extremely shocking power pierced toward Lu Ming. After shooting out this light beam, the aura of the evil god tribe member immediately withered. Lu Ming's hair stood on end. This light beam gave him a dangerous feeling. Slash! Lu Ming unleashed his full strength and slashed down. Dong! With a loud tremor, the sword of death in Lu Ming's hand actually exploded. Lu Ming's figure retreated quickly, feeling that his palm was a little numb. What a strong power! The power of the other party's desperate attack was really shocking. At this moment, he had borrowed the power of his third bloodline, but the sword of death was still scattered by the other party. Seeing that his desperate attack still did not kill Lu Ming, the evil god tribe member revealed a look of despair. "Ants of the human race, my race will trample all of you sooner or later. We will kill all of you lowly ants and not leave a single one alive." The evil god tribe member roared. "In the future, the ones who will be destroyed will be you." Lu Ming's gaze was cold. The sword of death condensed once again and slashed out, killing the other party. After keeping the other party's storage bracelet, Lu Ming charged back and killed the heavily injured evil god tribe member. Lu Ming would not show any mercy to the evil god tribe. He would kill as many as he could. The evil god tribe was bent on breaking through the heaven realm and primordial realm. At that time, the people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Chapter 2196. At this point, all 8 members of the evil god tribe had been killed by Lu Ming. With a thought, Lu Ming put away the power of the third bloodline. What exactly is this third bloodline? Lu Ming couldn't help but wonder. This wasn't the first time he had thought about this question. The third bloodline seemed to be very mysterious. It had boundless power and endless killing intent. He didn't dare to borrow too much of its power. This power wasn't something he could control. Moreover, as his cultivation increased, his fear of the third bloodline became stronger. This was because no matter how much his strength increased, he was like an ant in front of the power of the third bloodline. Forget it. As long as my strength can continue to increase, I will be able to use this power for myself. Lu Ming shook his head. Then, he put away all the storage bracelets of the evil god tribe, including those that had been killed by the bow. These were all martial emperors. To Lu Ming, this was another bountiful harvest. Then, Lu Ming started to search through the storage bracelets one by one. Found it. Not long after, Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. A large bow appeared in his hand. It was the large bow that the evil god tribe had obtained previously. The large bow was 1.5 meters long. It was made of an unknown material and was extremely heavy. The surface of the large bow was covered in rust. Let's give it a try. Lu Ming grabbed the bow with one hand and pulled the bowstring with the other. Then, he pulled with all his might. It didn't move at all. The large bow didn't move at all. The bowstring didn't curve at all. With my current strength, I can't pull it at all. No wonder those members of the evil god tribe didn't move it either. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. This large bow was really extraordinary. It was definitely a supreme treasure. Even after so many years, it still retained its spirituality. This showed how extraordinary it was. Let's give it another try. Lu Ming was unwilling to give up. This time, Lu Ming erupted with all his power of loss. Buzz. This time, the bow vibrated slightly. At the same time, Lu Ming felt the bowstring being pulled. Although it was only a little bit, it was indeed being pulled. At the same time, the energy of heaven and earth, as well as the saint energy in Lu Ming's body, poured into the bow in a frenzy. An arrow that shone with 7 different colors appeared in the air. Success. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He loosened his grip and the arrow shot out like a bolt of lightning, flying tens of thousands of meters away and hitting a mountain peak. Boom! A large hole was blasted into the mountain peak, and debris flew everywhere. What terrifying power! Lu Ming revealed an excited expression. This was an ancient battlefield. After experiencing a great battle between peerless powerhouses, energy and killing intent wreaked havoc here, causing the ground and rocks to become incomparably hard. Lu Ming's all-out attack only left a shallow mark on the ground. However, the arrow from earlier had pierced a huge hole in the mountain. The might of the arrow was extremely astonishing. However, the consumption of saint energy is also very shocking. I can't keep using it. This bow seemed to require many laws to be pulled. Moreover, the consumption of saint energy was also very shocking. Lu Ming would not be able to use it many times before his saint energy was drained. With such power, I'm afraid even a 7-star Void Emperor would be shot to death by this arrow. Although the consumption of saint energy was shocking, Lu Ming was still very satisfied. With this bow, he was not afraid of anyone below the true emperor. Moreover, he had only pulled the bowstring slightly just now. He was far from unleashing the power of this bow. As his cultivation improved in the future, the power of this bow would also become stronger. Lu Ming put away the big bow excitedly. With a flash of his body, he left the place. Next, Lu Ming continued to wander alone without any direction. After a day, he had already lost track of how far he had traveled. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, there was a roar in front. Someone was fighting. Lu Ming restrained his aura and quietly rushed over. Then, he saw some evil god tribe members besieging 3 humans. A young man, a middle-aged burly man, and an old man. The young man was slightly plump, and his cultivation was very strong. He had reached the level of a 3-star Void Emperor. Moreover, he had also mastered an ultimate law. Obviously, he was a top genius. As for the middle-aged burly man, he was a 5-star Void Emperor. The old man was a 6-star Void Emperor, and his combat strength was very strong. However, at this time, they were surrounded by danger. There were a total of 6 evil god tribe members besieging them. These 6 evil god tribe members were covered in purple scales, and their cultivation was very high. One of them was also a 6-star Void Emperor, and his combat strength was not weaker than the old man. There were also 3 5-star Void Emperors, and 2 4-star Void Emperors. Such a lineup put the 3 humans in danger. Even if they resisted with all their might, they would not be able to stop it and were in imminent danger. Young master, hurry up and leave. We will stop them. The old man shouted. If you want to leave, let's leave together. The plump young man shouted. You want to leave? None of you can leave. The reward for killing a genius of the human race is quite good. Hee hee. The 6-star Void Emperor from the evil god tribe laughed loudly. However, his attacks did not weaken at all and continued to attack the old man. Not only did the old man have to defend against the attacks of the 6-star Void Emperor, but he also had to defend against the 2 5-star Void Emperors. The situation was very dangerous and a trace of blood was already flowing out from the corner of his mouth. Die! The evil god tribe member shouted. In the distance, a cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. The big bow appeared in his hand, and then he quietly went to another direction. He planned to attack. If the people fighting in front were living beings from the heaven realm, he would not interfere and would not meddle in other people's business. However, one side was the evil god tribe, and the other was the human race. That was a different story. Similarly, if Lu Ming did not have the big bow, he would not interfere. The other party had 5-star and 6-star Void Emperors. With his current combat strength, he would be courting death if he interfered. However, with the big bow in his hand, Lu Ming was fearless. In a few breaths, Lu Ming went to another direction and then pulled the big bow, aiming at the six-star Void Emperor. The big bow emitted a faint light. The energy of heaven and earth and Lu Ming's saint power were constantly injected into the big bow. A seven-colored arrow appeared. Swoosh! Lu Ming released his grip and the arrow flew out. It instantly crossed a distance of dozens of miles and shot toward the six-star Void Emperor. Its speed was astonishing. The six-star Void Emperor reacted and wanted to dodge, but it was too late. He could only use all his strength to defend. However, his defense was like paper and could not withstand a single blow. Poof! The arrow pierced through all his defenses and shot into his forehead. It took him tens of thousands of meters away and stared at a short peak. A six-star Void Emperor was instantly killed. At the scene, both the human race and the evil god tribe were stunned. Especially the evil god tribe, they were even more shocked. Kill. Chapter 2197. Retreat. An evil god tribe member roared. To be able to kill a six-star Void Emperor with one arrow, they knew that a terrifying expert must have come from the heaven realm. How would they dare to stay? In fear, they turned and fled. Swoosh! Another arrow flew over, aiming at that five-star Void Emperor. That five-star Void Emperor screamed miserably and was shot to death. On the other side, the old man chased and killed the five-star Void Emperor that he had severely injured. There were a total of 6 people on the other side. 1 6-star Void Emperor and 2 5-star Void Emperors were all killed, leaving only 3 4-star Void Emperors running for their lives. The 3 evil god tribe members fled in different directions. They knew that if they gathered together, none of them would be able to escape. Chase! The slightly plump youth roared and chased after a 4-star Void Emperor. The old man and the middle-aged man also chased after one of them. The evil god tribe member that the slightly plump youth chased after just happened to run toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped out, holding a large bow and aiming at that evil god tribe member. That evil god tribe member was shocked and almost scared to death. Just now, 2 arrows had killed a 6-star Void Emperor and a 5-star Void Emperor. Now that he saw Lu Ming appear with a large bow, it would be strange if he was not scared to death. He was panicking, and the slightly plump youth had already arrived. This kind of purple-scaled evil god tribe member had very strong battle prowess. However, the slightly plump youth was a top genius. Although his cultivation was 1 level lower, his battle prowess was not inferior at all. In fact, he was even stronger. A snow-white and translucent saber light slashed toward the evil god tribe member. The evil god tribe member was fully on guard against Lu Ming. In his panic, he was directly hit by the slightly plump youth and was severely injured. The slightly plump youth hit the mark with 1 attack, and the subsequent attacks were endless. Snow White saber light slashed toward the evil god tribe member one after another. The evil god tribe member was severely injured and was powerless to reverse the situation. They only had the power to defend and no longer had the power to counterattack. Defeat and death were inevitable. Lu Ming did not draw the large bow. Just now, he was just scaring the other party. Now that the matter was settled, he put away the large bow. Swoosh! A figure flashed, and the old man appeared. Clearly, he had already dealt with his opponent. After a while, the middle-aged man also appeared. Right now, the slightly plump young man had completely gained the upper hand. Saber light flashed, leaving behind many wounds on the evil god tribe member's body. Kill! In the end, the chubby young man shouted and chopped off his opponent's head. After killing the members of the evil god tribe, the chubby young man, the old man, and the middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming with shock in their eyes. Just now, the arrow had instantly killed a 6-star Void Emperor and a 5-star Void Emperor. They did not expect the owner of the arrow to be so young. Brother, thank you for your help just now. The plump man walked over and cupped his fists to express his gratitude, his attitude sincere. You're too courteous. How can we not kill the foreign races when we see them? Lu Ming smiled. What a good, how can I not kill you? What you said really makes sense. I am Lu Hao. How should I address you, brother? The chubby young man said. Lu Ming. Lu Ming said. So it's Brother Lu. Lu Hao cupped his fists. Little Brother Lu, thank you for your help. The old man and the middle-aged man also thanked Lu Ming. Lu Ming said a few polite words. Brother Lu, you seem to be very unfamiliar. Did you enter this battlefield alone? Lu Hao asked. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. It's not safe to enter alone. Now, the evil god tribe has also sent a large number of experts into this ancient battlefield. Now, the people of the heaven realm are gathering not far away, gathering our strength to fight against the evil god tribe together. Brother Lu, why don't you come with us? Lu Hao invited. Lu Ming pondered. After a while, Lu Ming nodded and said, All right, I'll go with you. Lu Ming agreed because he had his own considerations. First of all, Lu Hao and the others did not look like Blue Cloud and the others who were sinister, cunning, and shameless. Lu Hao and the others looked sincere and did not look like cunning people. In addition, he could not find a way out alone. Only with the people of the heaven realm could he find a way out and enter the supreme clear sky domain. Seeing that Lu Ming agreed, Lu Hao was overjoyed. He gave the 6 storage bracelets of the evil god tribe to Lu Ming, saying that it was all thanks to Lu Ming's help this time. Otherwise, they would have been finished. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony and kept all of them. Then, they went in a direction. They did not encounter any danger on the way. A few hours later, they came to a barren mountain range. There was a valley inside, which was quite hidden. The living beings of the heaven realm gathered here. In addition to the human race, there were also the divine beast race. There are quite a lot of people. When Lu Ming and the others arrived, they looked around and found that there were more than 100 people. However, there were not many young people, only 5 or 6. The others were middle-aged or old. There were both men and women. Without a doubt, they were all martial emperors. Some people had very strong auras, faintly emitting the divine light of the world. True emperor. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. This ancient battlefield was very dangerous. The stronger the cultivation, the more dangerous it was to enter. True emperors were already in danger when they entered. They might be targeted by those powerhouses' imprints. Low-level true emperors were still fine, but high-level true emperors would definitely die when they encountered those imprints. Lu Hao greeted the few young people and introduced them to Lu Ming. The few young people smiled and nodded to Lu Ming. They did not have any reaction when they heard Lu Ming's name. Obviously, even if they had heard that the primordial realm had a peerless crippled body, they probably did not know Lu Ming's name. Lu Ming also smiled and nodded. Then, he stood at the side with Lu Ming. Lu Hao whispered. They entered this ancient battlefield this time to try their luck and see if they could get some opportunities and obtain some treasures. In addition, they had another thing, which was to find out why this ancient battlefield had changed. What exactly had happened? Was it related to the evil god tribe? The upper echelons of the heaven realm attached great importance to this matter. Therefore, they gathered together. Firstly, they could exchange information. Secondly, they would have a higher chance of success if they worked together later. As time passed, more and more people came here. Not long after, about 150 people had gathered. Swoosh, swoosh. At this time, another rainbow light flew over. This time, more than 10 people came at once. Blue Cloud. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This time, more than 10 people came. The person in the lead was actually Blue Cloud. Now, it seemed that his injuries had healed. Blue Cloud and the others landed in the valley and scanned the place. When he saw Lu Ming, his eyes emitted a strong killing intent as he strode towards Lu Ming. Brat, we meet again. This time, let's see how you'll die. Blue Cloud walked in front of Lu Ming and said coldly with a ferocious expression. Chapter 2198. Blue Cloud and the others closed in on Lu Ming with undisguised murderous intent. Blue Cloud, what do you want? Lu Hao stepped forward and shouted. What do we want? Cripple this kid. Blue Cloud said coldly. Around them, other people cast curious gazes at them. Lu Hao's expression changed and he said, Lan Yun, the two-world city has a rule. Once we enter the battlefield, the people of the heaven realm must be united. We are not allowed to kill each other. Those who break the rule will be punished by military law. Haha, violate the rule? Let me tell you, this kid has violated the rule. He attacked and killed an expert of my Lan family, so I'm going to cripple him and bring him back to Two World City to accept the punishment." Blue Cloud laughed. Two World City was a huge city located at the entrance of Hunyuan Heaven Domain and Taiching Heaven Domain. It was incomparably majestic and had countless experts guarding it. It was because of Two World City that the invasion of the foreign races was stopped. What? Hearing this, Lu Hao was stunned. If it was really like what Lan Yun said, he had no reason to interfere. Ridiculous, Lu Ming said indifferently. He glanced at Blue Cloud and said, "You and Lan Songshi are afraid of death, but you want to get the treasure. You used me as a test stone when you encountered a broken weapon left behind from ancient times. You didn't dare to go, but you asked me to. I helped you get a broken weapon and wanted to leave, but you didn't let me go and wanted to kill me. If I didn't do anything, would I wait to be killed by you?" Many people's eyes flickered. So that's what happened. If they were Lu Ming, they would have done the same. Blue Cloud, if that's the case, don't blame Brother Lu for taking action. Lu Hao said again. Nonsense. The three of us are searching for treasures together. Naturally, one of us has to go and test it. If all three of us go together, won't we be wiped out in danger? Blue Cloud argued. Then why am I the one going and not you? Lu Ming sneered. That time, it was you. The second time, it will definitely be us. We will take turns. However, you were blinded by greed and suddenly launched a sneak attack. You wanted to kill us and take the treasure for yourself. You deserve to die. Blue Cloud shouted, a cunning look in his eyes. Lu Ming sneered. This Blue Cloud was really shameless. What do you mean by taking turns? It's all bullshit. They clearly wanted to use Lu Ming as a stepping stone. If Lu Ming wanted to leave, they would kill Lu Ming and threaten him. So that's how it is. Everything is clear now. This brat was greedy and wanted to kill others to steal their treasures. Killing his own people on the battlefield is a serious violation of the rules. He must be punished. It was a young man named Yin Shi. He was also a genius. Lu Hao didn't know if Blue Cloud was telling the truth and didn't know what to say. Lu Ming, kneel down and destroy your own cultivation. Do you still need me to do it? Blue Cloud shouted. Come at me if you're capable. Lu Ming said coldly, and a big bow appeared in his hand. You're really audacious. Do you still want to resist? Do it. Blue Cloud shouted. Swoosh, swoosh. Behind Blue Cloud, shadows flickered. More than 10 people surrounded Lu Ming. Powerful auras pressed against Lu Ming. 2 7-star empty emperors and 2 6-star empty emperors. Lu Ming looked around and revealed a cold, murderous intent in his eyes. The people brought by Blue Cloud were very strong. Lu Ming was definitely no match for them with his own strength. However, Lu Ming had a big bow in his hand and wasn't afraid of them. If these people were courting death, he didn't mind killing them. The one that made him feel pressured was Yin Shi. He had a true emperor expert with him. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, even with the big bow in his hand, he wouldn't be able to unleash such power. He wasn't a match for a true emperor. However, if he was forced into a corner, Lu Ming could use his heavenly emperor physique to kill his opponent. However, Lu Ming wouldn't use it unless it was a last resort. The others looked on coldly, and no one said a word. Blue Cloud, aren't you going overboard? If there's anything, wait until we return to Two World City. Lu Hao said anxiously. Lu Ming had saved his life. He couldn't just watch Lu Ming be destroyed. Lu Hao, get lost. If you don't, I'll take you down as well. Blue Cloud scolded coldly. Lu Hao's face turned ugly. He was the one who invited Lu Ming here, but this happened. He felt terrible. Brother Lu, this has nothing to do with you. They'll have to pay a heavy price if they want to deal with me. Lu Ming said coldly. He poured his saint energy into the big bow, causing it to vibrate slightly and emit a layer of light. That's an ancient imperial weapon. Blue Cloud's eyes fell on the big bow with greed. The big bow was ancient with mottled rust on it. There was a high chance that it was obtained in this ancient battlefield. A weapon left behind in this ancient battlefield with spirituality was definitely extraordinary. Lan Yun was just about to order them to attack when a disdainful sneer resounded from the sky. How despicable and shameless. You forced others to be a test stone and were killed in the end. Now, you're slandering others. The Lan family is really getting worse and worse." The voice was full of disdain, causing Blue Cloud and the others to turn pale. Everyone looked up at the sky. They saw the 14 to 15-year-old young man in a Taiji Yang Taoist robe. He had his hands behind his back as he walked over. It was a young Taoist. "Who are you? How dare you insult the Lan clan? Do you understand that you're courting death?" Blue Cloud said coldly. "Don't use the Lan clan to pressure me. Others may be afraid of the Lan clan, but I'm not." The young Taoist was disdainful. He said with a strong sense of ridicule, "Am I wrong? You're obviously forcing others to be your test stone. Naturally, they have to resist. How dare you frame others here? Anyone with a discerning eye can see that you're lying through your teeth. If the Lan clan were all people like you, they would have been annihilated long ago." The young Taoist had his hands behind his back, looking like a peerless expert. He looked at Blue Cloud from the corner of his eyes like a senior reprimanding a junior. "You've insulted the Lan clan time and time again. You're courting death. In my opinion, this person is Lu Ming's accomplice. Attack and cripple him first." Blue Cloud roared. Swoosh! A middle-aged burly man from the Lan clan rushed out. He had the cultivation of a 5-star Void Emperor. With his cultivation of a 5-star Void Emperor, dealing with a young Taoist in his teens was a piece of cake. Almost everyone thought so, except for one person, and that was Lu Ming. Why does this guy look so familiar? Lu Ming looked at this young Taoist curiously. Lu Ming was sure that he had never seen the young Taoist's appearance before, but he felt that his temperament was very familiar. At this moment, there was also a change on the field. The 5-star Void Emperor of the Lan clan rushed toward the young Taoist at an astonishing speed. With a wave of his hand, a huge palm grabbed at the young Taoist, wanting to suppress him. Chapter 2199. "I'll kick." The little Taoist shouted as he kicked the middle-aged man's face. Bang! The middle-aged man was directly kicked. With a scream, his burly body flew out and hit the stone wall of the valley before stopping. He lay there twitching nonstop. Everyone looked at the middle-aged man and sucked in a breath of cold air. The middle-aged man was too miserable. Half of his face had exploded, and he didn't look human anymore. He was wailing nonstop. Many people were shocked. This little Taoist looked very young, but he actually had such terrifying strength. A 5-star Void Emperor couldn't even block a single move from him. Could it be that this little Taoist was transformed by some senior figure? Blue Cloud and the other members of the Lan family also looked a little solemn. This brat is indeed Lu Ming's companion. They are jackals of the same tribe. He publicly injured the experts of the Lan family. There's no need to talk about rules with such a person. Attack together and take him down. Blue Cloud roared. Swoosh! Swoosh! Immediately, all the experts of the Lan family moved. Their figures flashed as they charged towards the little Taoist. Lu Ming touched his nose and was a little speechless. He was about to start a massacre, but he could only stop at this moment. This was good too. If he killed all the people of the Lan family, it would be difficult to enter the Two-World City in the future. If he couldn't enter the Two-World City, he wouldn't be able to enter the Grand Pure Sky Domain. If he stayed in this battlefield for a long time, it would definitely be very dangerous. With this little Taoist taking action, he couldn't be bothered to take action. Nest, so many people are attacking me. Your Lan family has really fallen. Sooner or later, you will be destroyed. I'll kick, the little Taoist shouted, but his hands and feet didn't stop. His figure flashed, and his movement technique was actually extremely fast. He dodged all the attacks of the Lan family's experts and suddenly kicked out. Bang! A 6-star Void Emperor's face was kicked. He screamed and followed in the footsteps of the previous man. Half of his face exploded, and he lay on the ground, twitching nonstop. You're despicable, shameless, shameless. I'll kick. I'll kick. The little Taoist continued to shout and suddenly kicked out again. This time, he kicked twice in a row. Bang! Bang! The two figures were sent flying by the kick. They lay on the ground twitching, unable to get up for a while. Many people gasped. This was because a 7-star Void Emperor and a 6-star Void Emperor had been sent flying. Everyone understood that this little Taoist's combat strength was terrifyingly high. That was a 7-star Void Emperor. He was already at the peak of the Void Emperor realm. However, such a figure could not withstand a single kick from the little Taoist. The other members of the Lan family were shocked. They wanted to retreat, but it was too late. I kick, I kick, I kick. The little Taoist made a big fuss. His figure flashed continuously in the air, and his legs kicked out continuously. Bang, bang. The remaining members of the Lan family were sent flying one by one, lying on the ground twitching nonstop. Blue Cloud stood there, dumbfounded. It's your turn. The little Taoist looked at Blue Cloud with a cold smile and walked towards Blue Cloud. You. How dare you? The higher-ups of the two-world city have set a rule that the living beings of the heaven realm are not allowed to kill each other after entering the battlefield. How dare you defy the rule? Blue Cloud roared. I didn't kill them. How did I violate the rule? Also, what does it matter if I kill scum like you? Is it a waste of air to keep you alive? The little Taoist said casually. Blue Cloud was shocked and furious. He retreated quickly, but the little Taoist was even faster. In a flash, he caught up with Blue Cloud. Don't kick me, Blue Cloud screamed. Smack! The little Taoist slapped Blue Cloud's face. Blue Cloud screamed. His body spun a few hundred times in the air and smashed heavily on the ground. He lay there twitching nonstop. His face was swollen like a pig's head. I'll satisfy you. Don't kick me. Hit me with your hands. The little Taoist curled his lips. The others were speechless. Then, the little Taoist rolled his eyes and said, It's a waste to let scum like you who specialize in framing others. However, there are rules in the two-world city. I'll spare your lives, but you have to be punished. I'll keep your belongings for you first. I'll let you reflect on it. You can take it back after you've thought it through. After saying that, the little Taoist flashed and took away the storage rings of more than 10 Lan family experts. Many people's eyelids twitched. This was too ruthless. They could tell that the little Taoist's safekeeping was just an excuse. He was just looking for an excuse to collect treasures. In the end, the little Taoist came to Blue Cloud. No, don't take my storage ring. Blue Cloud screamed like an innocent girl who had been bullied. He curled up his body and grabbed the storage ring tightly with both hands. This storage ring contained his entire life savings. All of his belongings were inside. If he lost it, he would suffer a great loss. Why are you grabbing it so tightly? Who do you think I am? I'm just keeping it for you. Do you think I'll be greedy for your treasures? The little Taoist berated. No. How could Blue Cloud believe the little Taoist's words? Bang, bang. At the next moment, the little Taoist kicked down twice. One kick landed on Blue Cloud's face and the other on Blue Cloud's crotch. Blue Cloud screamed. His body twitched continuously. His eyes rolled back and he was foaming at the mouth. A top genius of a generation had ended up in such a state. Many people broke out in cold sweat. A gentleman uses his mouth and not his fists. I didn't want to use my fists, but you forced me to use my fists. No, I mean my fists. Why? Why? The little Taoist muttered. He waved his hand and kept Blue Cloud's storage ring. After putting away the ring, the little Taoist's eyes fell upon Blue Cloud's robe. His eyes lit up. This robe is made from the silk of a million-year snow silkworm, right? This is a treasure. It's a waste to keep it on you, so I'll keep it for you. Having said that, he wanted to take off Blue Cloud's clothes. Brother, aren't you going too far? Don't go too far so that we can meet again in the future. Yanxi couldn't take it anymore. He and Blue Cloud were friends. Brat, you want to give me something to keep as well? The little Taoist glanced at Yanxi. Yanxi's face was a little gloomy as he said, Although you are very strong, you can't be so lawless. Having said that, Yanxi waved his hand. Boom! An old man stepped out from behind Yanxi. He exuded a terrifying aura with a faint glow of a world. This was a true emperor. Yanxi had brought a true emperor with her, so she was confident. A puny one-star Void Emperor dares to act arrogantly in front of me? Fine, I'll keep a few more things today. The little Taoist sighed. However, he disappeared the next second and directly rushed towards the true emperor. You. Chapter 2200. A true emperor from the Yin clan unleashed his world power towards the young Taoist. However, the young Taoist's body flashed and split into 2, then 4, then 8, eventually 16 figures. Kick. Slap. The 16 young Taoists shouted at the same time. Some kicked while others slapped. However, there was one thing in common. Their legs and palms were covered in runes. Bam! Bam! The young Taoist managed to break through the power of the Yin true emperor's world. The 16 figures then unleashed a barrage of kicks and slaps on the emperor's face. The emperor screamed and followed in the footsteps of the Lan clan. He twitched on the ground, unable to stand up. Hiss! The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard. They stared at the young Taoist with their mouths agape. This little Taoist was too strong. His opponent was a true emperor, but he was still able to take him down in one go. Yin Shi was even paler. At this time, the little Taoist priest looked at Yin Shi. Yin Shi was drenched in cold sweat. He squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying and said, "Brother, it's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. You've taken a fancy to Lan Yun's treasure. Please do as you wish, I won't interfere." F***ck off. I'm interested in you now. The young Taoist sneered and rushed towards Yin Shi. More screams came after. Yin Shi's men and Yin Shi herself were taken down as well. The young Taoist then began to take the storage rings of the Yin clan members. The most miserable ones were Yin Shi and Lan Yun. Their identities were not ordinary. They were top-notch heaven's prides. Their wealth was incomparably abundant. Even the clothes on their bodies, the accessories on their heads, and the accessories on their hands were all rare treasures. Therefore, the little Taoist had naturally plundered all of it. To put it nicely, he was keeping it for safekeeping. After that, Yin Shi and Lan Yun were stripped by the little Taoist until they were left with only their underwear. The others were drenched in cold sweat. They were glad that they didn't offend the young Taoist. Being stripped naked in front of everyone would be a big joke. Many were mourning for Blue Cloud and Yin Shi. Today's harvest is not bad. The young Taoist smiled and murmured after putting away the items. Though he spoke softly, others still heard him and felt a toothache. The little Taoist's gaze surveyed the surroundings and swept over everyone. After that, he put his hands behind his back and put on the appearance of an exceptional expert as he said, "These people are too despicable. They actually forced others to be test stones, and in the end, they even wanted to kill others. That's why they ended up in this state. Many people looked down on him. Kind? You're the most unkind one here." Of course, no one dared to say it out loud. They only thought about it in their hearts. Otherwise, they might end up like Blue Cloud and the others. Finally, the young Taoist looked at Lu Ming and said, "Brat, I see that you're not well liked here. I see that you're a talent, so why don't you follow me? I'll take you out of here and bring you to eat good food. How about it?" "Okay." Lu Ming nodded without hesitation. "So straightforward?" The young Taoist was doubtful. "It's just that straightforward. Let's go." Lu Ming smiled. Then, he clasped his fists at Lu Hao and the others and said, "Brother Lu, Lu Ming will take his leave. Let's go, let's go." The young Taoist placed both hands behind his back and stepped into the air, leaving this valley. Lu Ming followed. Soon, they were far away from this valley. On the way, Lu Ming sized up the young Taoist carefully. He looked at him from head to toe, then from tail to head. "Hey, what are you looking at? You don't have any special fetishes, do you?" The young Taoist felt uncomfortable from being stared at. "Have we met before?" Lu Ming suddenly asked. The young Taoist's eyelids twitched. He hurriedly shook his head and said, "No, definitely not. Who am I? Do you think you can meet me just because you want to?" "Oh, is that so? You look very familiar to me, like an old friend." Lu Ming said softly, "Little guy, don't think too much. Meeting me is your fortune, and also your great opportunity. Follow me in the future and run errands for me when you're free. There will be benefits for you." The young Taoist's face turned serious. His hands were behind his back, and his back was ramrod straight. He had the demeanor of a peerless expert. It was just that he looked too young. He was only in his teens. No matter how one looked at him, he did not have the demeanor of an expert at all. Then I'll have to thank you. Lu Ming smiled and clasped his fists. Then, he suddenly asked, Dandan, how did you come from the primordial realm to the heaven realm? Who am I? I'm invincible since ancient times. Naturally, I know other passageways. The young Taoist spoke proudly at first, but halfway through, he seemed to have realized something and suddenly stopped. He saw Lu Ming looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. You are indeed Dandan. You actually dare to not recognize me when you see me? Lu Ming's gaze was very unfriendly. Lu Ming, how dare you trick me? The young Taoist gritted his teeth. To be more precise, he was Dandan. In fact, when he first saw the young Taoist, Lu Ming had been suspicious. Although the young Taoist's aura was concealed very well, and he could not sense it at all, his personality and style were too similar. Lu Ming immediately thought of Dandan. After the young Taoist defeated Blue Cloud and the others, a series of events made Lu Ming even more certain that this guy was Dandan. This also better explained why the young Taoist was completely on Lu Ming's side when he appeared. If it were a stranger, why would he be on Lu Ming's side when he appeared? That was why Lu Ming did not hesitate to follow Dandan just now. However, this guy wanted to show off in front of Lu Ming, but he was exposed by Lu Ming's words. I haven't seen you for many years, but your cultivation has increased very quickly. Lu Ming laughed. He never expected to meet Dandan here, and he was also overjoyed. Who am I? The number one of all time, the leader of the top 10 battle beasts. Of course my improvement is fast. Unlike you, who haven't become an emperor yet. Dandan looked at Lu Ming with disdain, proud of himself. In the past, when he followed Lu Ming, his cultivation was often suppressed by Lu Ming. Now that his cultivation had far surpassed Lu Ming, he immediately felt refreshed. Dandan, have you recovered your memory? Lu Ming asked. Almost, so you can follow me in the future. I'll take you to all kinds of forbidden areas, and there are all kinds of treasures. I guarantee that your cultivation will increase rapidly. Dandan's face was full of pride. Why are you dressed like a young Taoist? Lu Ming asked curiously. After I transformed, I was originally like this. As for this Taoist robe, it's convenient for my movements. Dandan chuckled. Fraud. 2 words popped up in Lu Ming's mind. Dandan's appearance, coupled with his style of doing things, was a typical fraud template. By the way, how did you come to the heaven realm? I heard that a group of geniuses came to the primordial realm, but you weren't there. And these geniuses are now cultivating in seclusion. Chapter 2201. Immediately, Lu Ming explained how he came to the heavenly realm. So that's how it is. Fortunately, the passage collapsed, or else it would be really dangerous. Dandan's face turned solemn. Then he glanced at Lu Ming and said, You said that you've mastered many laws at the same time? Show it to me. Lu Ming nodded, and immediately, the laws spread out. Dandan was dumbfounded. She looked like a fool. After a long time, Dandan came to his senses. Nestle, 7 laws and 2 supreme laws. How did you do it? Dandan said with wide eyes. So what if you have 7 laws? It's a pity that it's difficult to become an emperor. Lu Ming sighed. It's indeed difficult to become an emperor. You have a peerless body. Dandan muttered and sighed. Dandan, you're always bragging. Don't you know of any way to make me become an emperor? Lu Ming asked. You're the bragging one. When did I do that? Dandan widened his eyes angrily, then frowned and thought carefully. After a long time, Dandan said, There are people like you who have mastered many laws below the martial emperor level in the history of the heavenly realm, but in the end, no one became an emperor. Everyone failed. They either died on the way to break through by force, or died from exhaustion of their lifespan. Is there really no other way? I'm not willing to accept this. Lu Ming clenched his fists. Actually, it's not completely impossible. Dandan said again, Is there really a way? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In ancient times, I knew a person who was a peerless genius. It could be said that he was a rare genius. His ambition was higher than the sky, and he wanted to walk a brand new path, a path that no one had walked before. I don't know how he cultivated. Later on, before he became a martial emperor, he grasped many kinds of laws. He was invincible against those of the same level. No one was his match. Unfortunately, his path was cut short. It was difficult for him to become a martial emperor. No matter what method he used, it was impossible for him to become a martial emperor. Later on, he spent his entire life studying the secrets of controlling many kinds of laws below the martial emperor realm. It is said that in his later years, he finally made great progress. However, it was already too late. He did not have much time left, and his potential had been exhausted. As long as you know the method he came up with, it might be able to help you become an emperor. Dandan said, "It's been countless years since the ancient era. How can we find his method?" Lu Ming asked, but he wasn't sure either. After all, so many years had passed. According to Dandan, at that time, the evil god race had yet to attack the heaven realm. That person's clan is still around. They live in seclusion somewhere in the Grand Clarity Heaven domain. Once we leave this place, I'll take you there. Don't worry. If you stick with me, I'll treat you well." Dandan said proudly. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to bicker with Dandan. At this moment, he was overjoyed. There was finally a clue. As long as he could find the method left behind by that senior, he might really be able to break through his shackles and become an emperor. "When are we leaving?" Lu Ming asked. "Don't be anxious. This is the most famous battlefield in the ancient era. A terrifying battle broke out between the heaven realm and the alien race. Many experts died here. Although so many years have passed, there must be peerless treasures left behind. This is a rare opportunity that we can't miss. We'll leave after we've collected all the treasures here." Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. He wasn't in a hurry. "Dandan, you couldn't have participated in the battle here back then, right?" Lu Ming asked curiously. "No, I was in another battlefield. It was even more tragic than here." Dandan said. He seemed to have recalled something and didn't say anything else. The two flew. After a few hours, Dandan suddenly stopped. He landed on the ground and endless runes spread out under his feet. After a while, he revealed a joyful expression and said, "There's something in front. Haha, let's do it." Having said that, he took to his heels and Lu Ming followed closely behind. After climbing over a few hills, they saw two skeletons at the bottom of a cliff. One of the skeletons was the skeleton of a huge beast. It seemed to have been left behind by a tiger-shaped divine beast. The other skeleton was in the shape of a human, but its body was huge. It was 4 to 5 meters tall. The human-shaped skeleton was holding a spear that pierced through the beast-shaped skeleton's skull. One of the beast-shaped skeleton's claws had cracked the human-shaped skeleton's skull. Obviously, the human-shaped skeleton was an expert of the evil god tribe. As for the beast-shaped skeleton, it was a divine beast. The two experts had perished together. Dandan looked at the spear in the human-shaped skeleton's hand with a fiery gaze. In addition, there was a fist-sized crystal under the beast-shaped skeleton. The heart of the realm. Haha, after so many years, the heart of the realm can still be preserved. As long as it contains a trace of energy, it's a great opportunity. Dandan grinned. However, the two of them didn't get close. The things left behind by such a person would probably contain killing intent and be very dangerous. "Watch me." Dandan stepped on the ground and endless runes spread out. At the same time, he waved his hands continuously and endless runes shone. This contains the law of array Dao, law of alchemy Dao, law of tools Dao. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Dandan's runes were very profound. It actually combined 3 types of law of inscription Dao. Moreover, it was a perfect combination. It was incomparably mysterious. Dandan kept flashing around the area and endless runes entered the ground. After a while, Dandan retreated and said, "It's done." Buzz. The ground shone and endless runes appeared, forming huge words. They were the word destroy. These destroy characters flew toward the spear and the heart of the realm. Bang! When the words came into contact with the spear directly collapsed and turned into ashes. It's a pity that it has lost its spirituality and has become a piece of trash. Dandan shook his head, but in the next moment, his eyes lit up, because the heart of the realm suddenly burst out with light. Kill, kill. Vaguely, they could hear the sounds of killing coming from the heart of the realm. The cultivations of the experts who died here were too strong. Even after so many years, there was still an immortal killing intent lingering in the air. Ordinary experts definitely couldn't do it. Chi. Those destroy characters covered the heart of the realm and began to erase the killing intent on the heart of the realm. The function of this array was very similar to the array set up by the evil god tribe. It could erase the killing intent left behind by experts. Not long after, the sounds of killing in the heart of the realm disappeared and the light on it dimmed. Success. Dandan was overjoyed. He grabbed the fist-sized heart of the realm in his hand. Dandan sensed it and said regretfully, "So many years have passed and its energy is almost exhausted. However, it is still very useful. Lu Ming, you haven't become an emperor yet. This heart of the realm won't be of much use to you. I'll keep it." Chapter 2202. Someone is coming. Suddenly, Dandan looked into the distance. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Streaks of light flew over, and soon, 8 figures appeared in the sky. Each of the 8 evil god tribe members had a powerful aura. When their 3 eyes opened and closed, they were as cold as knives. Their gazes swept across the 2 skeletons, and their eyes lit up. They must have obtained the treasures. Kill them. One of the evil god tribe members roared and charged toward Dandan and Lu Ming. Among the 8 evil god tribe members, one of them had a terrifying aura that far surpassed the Void Emperor realm and had reached the true Emperor realm. There were also 6 and 7-star Void Emperors. The weakest 2 were 4-star Void Emperors. You dare to target me? You are courting death. Dandan said coldly. Countless runes appeared on his body, forming a pair of wings made of runes. Lu Ming felt that this pair of wings contained at least 3 types of laws. Swoosh. Dandan's figure disappeared in a flash. His speed was shockingly fast. Lu Ming, I will leave the 2 4-star Void Emperors to you. Leave the rest to me. Dandan's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. He had already charged toward the other party. With a wave of his hand, 6 huge turtles flew out. These turtles were not living creatures. They were formed by the interweaving of energy and the power of laws. One of them was the largest, and it charged toward the true Emperor Evil God tribe member. The other 5 turtles flew toward the remaining 5 people, missing the 2 weakest ones. The 2 weakest ones were 4-star Void Emperors. They charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take out his bow. He did not need a bow to deal with 2 4-star Void Emperors. The Sword of Death was formed, and Lu Ming charged toward the 2 evil god tribe members. Die! 2 purple beams of light shot out from the 3rd eyes of the 2 evil god tribe members, shooting toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming slashed out twice and destroyed the beams of light. The 2 evil god tribe members' expressions changed slightly. They took out their weapons and charged toward Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming clashed with the 2 of them. The bodies of the 2 members of the evil god race trembled violently, and they were pushed back repeatedly. Lu Ming followed up with extreme speed. His sword light did not stop. Within the Sword of Death, different laws constantly vibrated, forming a terrifying cutting power. The 2 members of the evil god race tried their best to block a few more moves, but they were completely at a disadvantage. After a few moves, one of the members of the evil god race was slashed by Lu Ming's sword light, almost cleaving him into 2. A deep wound appeared on his body, and the power of death and destruction frenziedly drilled into his body, causing him to cough up large mouthfuls of blood. His aura started to weaken. These 2 evil god tribesmen were both purple-scaled evil god tribesmen and could be considered strong. If it were 2 black-scaled 4-star Void Emperor evil god tribesmen, they would have been killed by Lu Ming in 2 moves. With one of them injured, his battle prowess was greatly reduced. The remaining one was even less of a match for Lu Ming. Come and help us. A member of the evil god race roared, but the only response he got was a scream. The other 6 members of the evil god race were in an even worse state. At this moment, 3 members of the evil god race had already been killed by Dandan. They were all 5-star and 6-star Void Emperor evil god tribesmen. Bang! Next, a 7-star Void Emperor was pierced through by Dandan's palm. A burst of energy burst forth, and the other party's body was torn into pieces. In an instant, only 2 of the 6 people who had been fighting Dandan were left. One was a 7-star Void Emperor, and the other was a true Emperor. With Lu Ming's cultivation realm, he could not tell how many stars they were, but their strength was extremely shocking. At this moment, the 2 of them felt chills all over their bodies. "How dare you attack me? Kill!" Dandan roared. His hands glowed, and a huge tortoise condensed. This huge tortoise was as big as a mountain, and it was very similar to Dandan's original body. The huge tortoise's size was astonishing, filling the sky. Then, like a huge mountain, it pressed down, completely enveloping this area. The 2 members of the evil god race had nowhere to run or dodge. They could only take it head-on. The 2 of them unleashed their full strength, and 2 terrifying attacks blasted towards the huge tortoise. This was especially true for the 1-star true emperor. This was a true emperor with frightening power, much stronger than a 7-star void emperor. He was even stronger than the previous 1-star true emperor from the Yin clan. However, under the suppression of the huge tortoise, the 2 of them could not resist at all. It was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Bang! First, the 7-star Void Emperor's body directly exploded. Under the terrifying energy, he was reduced to ashes and scattered ashes. The true Emperor also roared, and his body erupted with a resplendent purple light. But it was useless. His body trembled, and the ground under his feet continued to explode. Bang! Finally, the arm of the evil god race's true emperor exploded, and his flesh and blood flew everywhere. Next, his body collapsed inch by inch. A powerful true emperor was also killed by Dandan. When the 2 4-star void emperors from the evil god tribe saw this, they were scared out of their wits. How could they fight against Lu Ming when they were distracted? Lu Ming seized the opportunity and slashed one of the evil god race's true emperors. The remaining one, who was already heavily injured, was even weaker. Lu Ming caught up in a few steps and killed him with one slash. "Lu Ming, your usage of laws is wrong. It's too rough. You didn't cultivate any ancient scriptures, right?" Dandan came over and asked. "No, this divine art is something I created myself. I can barely exert the power of many laws, but it's not strong enough. I need to deepen my understanding of it." Lu Ming said, "No wonder. It's a pity. Although you have mastered many laws, you can't exert the power of the laws very well. I know a few ancient scriptures, but they're very different from the laws you've comprehended. They won't be of much use to you." Dandan said, "Ancient scriptures could only be comprehended after becoming a martial emperor because they involved many different laws. Whether a martial emperor had an ancient scripture or not, it would have a huge impact on their cultivation and combat strength. An ancient scripture would record the comprehension and usage of at least 2 laws. A cultivator could use an ancient scripture to deduce and comprehend other laws. For example, an ancient scripture recorded the comprehension and usage of 3 laws. If a cultivator only comprehended one of the 3 laws, he could comprehend this ancient scripture to deduce the other laws and comprehend the other 2 laws. When the ancient scripture was cultivated to the Great Accomplishment realm, the 3 laws would also be cultivated to the Great Accomplishment realm. For example, an ancient scripture contained the fire, ice, and lightning laws. A martial emperor who cultivated the fire laws could refer to this ancient scripture to deduce the ice laws and even the lightning laws. Moreover, an ancient scripture would also have a corresponding divine ability technique. For example, if Lu Ming could obtain an ancient scripture that recorded the chaos, death, array Tao, alchemy Tao, tools Tao, force Tao, and devour Tao, he would be able to cultivate the divine art. His strength would skyrocket. These divine arts were all comprehended by previous cultivators. They could perfectly fuse the power of various laws and fully erupt. The more laws an ancient scripture contained, the higher its grade. For example, if an ancient scripture contained 9 laws, the value of this ancient scripture would be immeasurable. This was because a cultivator could follow this ancient scripture and comprehend it until they reached the great Emperor realm. There was no need for them to take detours. Referring to an ancient scripture to cultivate was many times better than fumbling around alone. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.